Introduction: The power of small gains. Laziness is harmful to success, but if you are lazy, there is still a way to become a better version of yourself by improving 1%. Many people believe they need to make drastic changes to see progress. They wait for the perfect moment, the right motivation, or the ideal circumstances, but that moment rarely comes, and time passes while nothing changes. The truth is, self improvement does not require radical action overnight. It happens through small, consistent steps that gradually build momentum. Even if you struggle with discipline or motivation, you can still move forward by making minor adjustments to your daily routine. Improvement is not about intensity, it is about consistency. Most people fail not because they lack ambition, but because they expect results too quickly. They set big goals, push themselves hard for a few days, then lose motivation when progress is not immediate. This cycle repeats, leading to frustration and discouragement. Instead of aiming for perfection, the key is to focus on progress, even if it is just 1% better each day. Small wins accumulate over time, and before you realize it, you have transformed your habits, mindset, and skills. Imagine two people starting at the same level. One commits to improving just 1% every day, while the other does nothing. At first, the difference is barely noticeable. After a week, it still seems insignificant, but over time, the gap between them widens. The person making small improvements continues to build on previous efforts, and eventually the results are undeniable. The other remains stuck in the same place, wondering why success feels out of reach. Growth compounds, and even minor changes create a powerful effect when sustained. This approach works in all areas of life. If you want to become more productive, you do not need to overhaul your entire schedule overnight. Start by improving a single habit. If you struggle with procrastination, commit to working for just 5 minutes before taking a break. If you want to get healthier but hate exercise, start with a short walk instead of forcing yourself into an intense workout. If you want to read more but never seem to find time, commit to a single page a day. The key is to make the process so easy that it becomes impossible to fail. Once the habit is established, you can build on it naturally. The biggest obstacle to progress is the belief that only big actions create change. This mindset leads to procrastination because big actions require more energy, effort, and motivation. But small improvements remove that barrier. They feel manageable, require little effort, and are easy to repeat daily. Over time, these small actions turn into habits, and habits shape identity. You no longer have to rely on willpower because progress becomes automatic. People often underestimate the power of small changes because they expect instant results. This impatience is what keeps them stuck. But every significant achievement is the result of consistent effort over time. Athletes do not become great overnight. They train daily, focusing on small improvements. Writers do not produce bestsellers in one sitting. They write a little every day. Businesses do not become successful from a single decision. They grow through continuous refinement. The principle is the same in every field. Even when progress feels slow, it is happening. The difference between no improvement and 1% growth is vast. Think of it like interest on an investment. If you improve by just 1% every day, the results compound over weeks, months, and years. The effort you put in today builds on yesterday's progress, and over time, the impact multiplies. At first, the change is almost invisible, but as time goes on, it becomes impossible to ignore. Failure does not come from one bad decision, but from repeated inaction. Skipping one workout will not make a difference. However, if you continuously skip workouts, the habit fades and progress halts. The same holds true in every area of life. Small negative actions accumulate just like positive ones. The goal is to make sure that even on bad days, you still do something, no matter how small. If you don't have time for a full workout, do one stretch. If you can't read an entire chapter, read just one paragraph. The key is to keep moving, even if it's at the slowest pace. The beauty of this approach is that it removes the pressure of perfection. You don't have to be the best or push yourself beyond your limits. All you have to do is be slightly better than you were yesterday. This makes progress sustainable. Rather than burning out after a burst of motivation, you create a lifestyle where improvement becomes a natural part of your routine. It's not about working harder, but working smarter. Doubt often stops people before they even start. They think small actions won't make a difference, but every great achievement begins with a single step. A book starts with one sentence. A marathon starts with one step. A career begins with one decision. No matter where you are right now, you can take a small action today that will move you forward. The results may not be immediately visible, but they will come. This book is about adopting a mindset of continuous improvement. It's about realizing that success isn't about sudden breakthroughs, but about showing up every day and making a small effort. Whether you are working to develop new skills, break bad habits, or achieve personal goals, the process is the same. Focus on 1% growth each day, and over time, the results will exceed your expectations. The journey is not about speed, it's about consistency. The person who improves slowly but consistently will always outperform the person who makes big changes and gives up. Every day is an opportunity to get better. Even if progress feels small, it is still progress. The only way to fail is to stop trying. By embracing small improvements, you take control of your future. The path to success is not about waiting for motivation or chasing shortcuts. It's about making simple, sustainable changes that add up over time. If you commit to this mindset, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. The journey starts now. Part 1: The Mindset Shift. Improvement begins in the mind. If you do not believe that small changes can lead to big results, you will never start. Most people think success is about talent, luck, or sudden breakthroughs. In reality, it is about consistent effort. The way you think about progress determines whether you move forward or stay stuck. If you expect immediate results, you will always feel disappointed. If you understand that growth is a process, you will stay committed. Many people fail not because they lack ability, but because they give up too soon. They try something new, do not see results right away, and decide it does not work. This is the wrong approach. Real change takes time. A tree does not grow the day after it is planted. A musician does not become skilled after one practice session. The early stages of improvement are always the hardest because the effort does not seem to be paying off. But just because progress is invisible does not mean it is not happening. Your mindset determines your habits, and your habits determine your future. If you believe you can improve, you will take action. If you take action, you will build habits. If you build habits, results will follow. But if you believe that success is out of reach, you will never take the first step. The biggest obstacle to growth is not a lack of skill or resources, but a lack of belief. If you do not trust the process, you will never stay long enough to see results. People who succeed think differently from those who do not. They do not wait for motivation. They do not rely on willpower. They do not expect instant results. They understand that small actions repeated daily lead to transformation. This is the mindset of growth. It is not about working harder, but about working smarter. Instead of trying to force progress, they trust that small improvements will add up over time. Failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of the process. People who fear failure avoid challenges. They stay in their comfort zone because they do not want to make mistakes. But avoiding failure also means avoiding growth. Every successful person has failed many times. What makes them different is that they keep going. They see failure as feedback, not as a reason to quit. The difference between those who improve and those who stay the same is simple. One keeps trying and the other stops. The problem with most self-improvement advice is that it focuses on motivation, but motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. If you only take action when you feel motivated, you will never be consistent. The real secret to progress is discipline. Discipline means doing what needs to be done, even when you do not feel like it. The good news is that discipline can be built like a muscle. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. And once you have discipline, you no longer need motivation. One of the biggest mindset shifts is understanding that action creates motivation, not the other way around. Most people wait until they feel inspired to start. But the truth is, starting creates inspiration. When you take action, even in a small way, you create momentum. The hardest part of any task is getting started. Once you start, continuing becomes easier. This is why focusing on small actions is so powerful. Instead of thinking about the big picture and feeling overwhelmed, just do something small. That small action will make the next one easier. Your identity shapes your behavior. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with discipline, you will always struggle. If you see yourself as someone who takes small daily actions, you will become that person. The key to lasting change is shifting how you see yourself. Instead of focusing on outcomes, focus on becoming the type of person who improves a little each day. Instead of saying, I want to run a marathon, say, I am someone who trains daily. Instead of saying, I want to write a book, say, I am someone who writes every day. Identity based habits are the strongest because they align with how you see yourself. The biggest mistake people make is focusing too much on results. They want to lose weight, but do not focus on eating better today. They want to build a business, but do not focus on taking one step forward today. This mindset leads to frustration because big results take time. The better approach is to focus on the process. If you stick to the process, the results will come. If you only focus on results, you will always feel like you are not doing enough. Your brain resists change because it likes comfort. This is why making big changes all at once usually fails. It is too much for the brain to handle. But small changes are easier to accept. If you gradually adjust your habits, your brain will adapt. This is why the 1% better approach works. It does not trigger resistance. It feels natural. It allows your brain to adjust without stress. A common excuse is that there is not enough time, but time is never the real issue. The real issue is priorities. Everyone has the same 24 hours. The difference is how that time is used. People who improve make small adjustments to their daily routine. Instead of watching an extra episode of a show, they read for 5 minutes. Instead of scrolling through their phone, they go for a short walk. The key is to start small. If you try to change too much at once, you will fail. But if you make one small change and build on it, progress happens naturally. Many people believe they need to feel ready before they start, but readiness is an illusion. If you wait until you feel ready, you will never begin. The only way to become ready is to start. Once you take action, your mind adapts. You realize that you do not need to feel ready to move forward. You just need to begin, and the rest follows. Small improvements may not seem exciting, but they are effective. The reason most people do not succeed is not that they lack ability, but that they lack patience. They give up too soon. But if you commit to small daily actions, progress is guaranteed. Um, Improvement is not about making one huge effort. It is about making small efforts consistently. The difference between success and failure is simple. One keeps going and the other stops. The most powerful mindset shift is realizing that you do not have to be perfect to make progress. You do not have to get everything right. You just have to be slightly better than yesterday. This approach removes pressure. It makes growth sustainable. Instead of worrying about how far you have to go, you focus on what you can do today. And when you do this every day, success becomes inevitable. By shifting your mindset from immediate results to long-term progress, you set yourself up for success. Growth is not about massive leaps, but about small, consistent steps. Once you understand this, everything changes. You stop looking for shortcuts and start focusing on what actually works. Improvement is always possible, and it starts with a simple decision: get 1% better today. Part 2: Systems over Goals. Setting goals is easy. Achieving them is hard. Most people believe that setting ambitious goals is the key to success, but this is not true. Goals provide direction, but they do not guarantee results. What matters is the system behind the goal. A system is a set of habits, routines, and processes that make progress inevitable. Without a strong system, even the best goals fail. The problem with focusing on goals is that they create a false sense of progress. People set goals and feel motivated, but motivation fades. They struggle to stay consistent because they rely on willpower instead of building habits. When they do not see quick results, they get discouraged and give up. This cycle repeats and they remain stuck. The solution is to shift focus from goals to systems. A system is what you do every day. It is the way you structure your time, energy, and habits. If your system is strong, results take care of themselves. If your system is weak, no amount of motivation will help. Instead of setting a goal to read more books, create a system where reading becomes a daily habit. Instead of setting a goal to lose weight, create a system where healthy eating and exercise become part of your routine. Goals are temporary. Systems are permanent. One of the biggest problems with goals is that they create a cycle of disappointment. When you set a goal, you tell yourself you will be happy once you achieve it. But when you reach the goal, the satisfaction is temporary. You set another goal, chase it, and feel the same way. This endless loop prevents long term fulfillment. A better approach is to focus on the system itself. If you enjoy the process, success happens naturally. Systems create consistency, and consistency creates progress. People who rely on motivation are inconsistent. They work hard when they feel inspired and do nothing when they do not. But those who focus on systems take action every day, regardless of how they feel. This is the key to long term success. Small, repeated actions are far more powerful than occasional bursts of effort. A good system makes progress automatic. If you have to think about whether to take action, you are more likely to skip it. But if the action is built into your routine, it becomes effortless. For example, if you place a book next to your bed, reading before sleep becomes easier. If you set out workout clothes the night before, exercising in the morning becomes natural. The goal is to remove friction so that good habits happen with little effort. Many people fail because they make things too difficult. They try to change too much at once and become overwhelmed. The key to a strong system is to start small. If you want to build a reading habit, start with 1 page a day. If you want to exercise, start with 5 minutes. These small actions may seem insignificant, but they create momentum. Once a habit is established, it can be expanded. The mistake most people make is trying to do too much too soon. This leads to burnout and failure. A system should be designed to fit your life, not the other way around. If a habit is difficult to maintain, it will not last. Instead of forcing yourself into a routine that does not work, adjust your system to make it easier. If you struggle with morning workouts, switch to evenings. If reading long books feels overwhelming, start with short articles. The key is to remove obstacles and make good habits effortless. Tracking progress is important, but it should not be the main focus. Many people measure success based on outcomes, but this can be misleading. Progress is not always visible in the short term. If you only focus on results, you may feel like you are not improving, even when you are. A better approach is to track consistency. Instead of measuring how much weight you lose, measure how often you exercise. Instead of tracking how many books you read, track how many days you read. When you focus on consistency, results follow naturally. A common mistake is to believe that big actions lead to big results. In reality, small actions repeated daily create the biggest impact. A strong system does not rely on major efforts, but on simple habits performed consistently. A person who writes for 10 minutes every day will achieve more than someone who writes for hours once a month. A person who eats slightly healthier every day will make more progress than someone who follows a strict diet for a week and quits. The key is to make small improvements part of daily life. Environment plays a huge role in success. If your environment does not support your system, progress will be difficult. A person trying to eat healthier will struggle if their kitchen is filled with junk food. A person trying to focus will struggle if their workspace is filled with distractions. The goal is to design your environment to make good habits easy and bad habits difficult. Small changes, like keeping healthy food in sight or turning off notifications, can make a big difference. People often blame lack of discipline for failure, but the real problem is a weak system. If you have to rely on willpower to succeed, your system is not working. The best systems remove the need for willpower. They make good actions effortless and bad actions inconvenient. A person who keeps their phone in another room while working does not need willpower to avoid distractions. A person who prepares meals in advance does not need willpower to eat healthy. The key is to make success the default choice. Habits compound over time. The small actions you take today may not seem important, but they add up. A person who exercises for 10 minutes daily will be far ahead of someone who does nothing. A person who saves a small amount of money consistently will build wealth over time. The effects of a strong system are not always immediate, but they are always powerful. The most successful people are not those with the biggest goals, but those with the best systems. They do not rely on motivation or luck. They create routines that make success inevitable. They understand that small daily actions lead to big results. By focusing on systems instead of goals, they ensure that progress never stops. A system focused approach removes pressure. You do not have to worry about reaching a big goal. You just have to stick to the system. If you follow the system, the results will come. This makes improvement sustainable because there's no need for extreme effort. You do not have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. By shifting focus from goals to systems, progress becomes natural. Instead of constantly chasing the next achievement, you create a lifestyle of improvement. This removes stress and frustration. Instead of feeling like success is always in the future, you feel in control of the present. Small, consistent actions create long-term results. A strong system ensures that progress never stops. The goal is not to reach a destination, but to create a process that makes success inevitable. Part 3: The compounding effect of action. Imagine dropping a single drop of water into a bucket. At first, it looks like nothing is happening. You drop another, then another. The bucket still seems empty. But if you keep going, the water level slowly rises. Eventually, after hundreds or thousands of drops, the bucket is full. The same principle applies to self-improvement. Small actions, repeated consistently, create massive results over time. The challenge is that most people quit before the bucket fills. People want results fast. They expect immediate rewards for their efforts. When they do not see progress, they assume what they are doing is not working. This is why most people give up on diets, exercise, learning new skills, or saving money. They do not see immediate results, so they stop. What they fail to realize is that improvement compounds just like interest in a bank account. The first few deposits seem insignificant, but over time, they build into something powerful. The compounding effect of action is one of the most important concepts in self-improvement. The biggest mistake people make is assuming that small actions do not matter. They think skipping a workout, eating one unhealthy meal, or wasting one day is harmless. But habits, whether good or bad, accumulate. A single unhealthy meal does not make someone unhealthy, but repeated unhealthy choices over months or years lead to problems. The same is true for positive habits. Reading one page of a book today will not change your life, but reading every day for a year will. Progress is often invisible at first. This is why it is so easy to give up. Imagine an ice cube sitting on a table in a cold room. The temperature is slowly rising, 1 degree at a time. Nothing happens at first. It goes from 25 degrees to 26, then to 27, then 28. The ice does not melt. It reaches 30, then 31. Still nothing. But then at 32 degrees, something changes. The ice starts to melt. All the previous temperature increases seem to do nothing, but they were necessary to point where change became visible. This is how improvement works. Small actions may seem meaningless, but they build up until they reach a tipping point. The challenge is to keep going even when results are not visible. The key is to trust the process. The person who exercises for a month and sees no change may feel discouraged and stop. But if they keep going, progress becomes undeniable. The person who saves a little money every week may feel like they are getting nowhere, but over years, their savings grow. The same is true in learning, relationships, business, and personal growth. Success is a result of accumulated effort. Most people underestimate how much they can achieve in a year, but overestimate how much they can achieve in a day. This is why quick fixes do not work. People try extreme diets, unrealistic study plans, or intense workout routines, hoping for instant results. When they do not see immediate success, they quit. The better approach is to focus on steady, manageable progress. It may not be exciting, but it works. The compounding effect also applies to knowledge. If you read one book, you gain a little information. If you read a book every month, your knowledge grows significantly. If you read consistently for years, the amount of insight you gain is enormous. This knowledge compounds, making future learning easier. Skills work the same way. A musician practicing daily may not notice improvement after a few days, but after months, their progress is clear. Another important factor is momentum. Small actions create momentum, and momentum makes progress easier. Starting is always the hardest part, but once you take action, it becomes easier to continue. A person who starts exercising regularly may struggle in the beginning, but after a while, working out feels natural. A person who begins writing daily may struggle to find words at first, but with time, writing becomes effortless. This is why consistency matters. The more you do something, the easier it becomes. The danger of small negative habits is that they also compound. If you skip one workout, it may not seem like a big deal, but if you skip another, then another, the habit disappears. If you spend a little extra money today, it may not matter, but if you do it repeatedly, financial problems appear. Negative habits, just like positive ones, build over time. This is why it is important to be mindful of daily choices. Small actions shape the future. One of the best ways to take advantage of the compounding effect is to make small improvements every day. Instead of trying to be perfect, aim to be slightly better than yesterday. If you do one more push up, read one more page, write one more sentence, or save one more dollar, you are moving forward. The change may feel small, but over time, it becomes significant. Patience is essential. The biggest reason people fail is that they give up too soon. They stop just before progress becomes visible. If they had kept going a little longer, they would have seen results. This is why persistence is the key to success. The people who improve the most are not the ones who make the biggest efforts, but the ones who refuse to quit. Another reason people struggle is that they compare themselves to others. They see someone who is ahead and feel discouraged. But what they do not see is the years of effort that person put in. Every successful person started as a beginner. They improved gradually, one step at a time. Comparing your starting point to someone else's success is unfair. The only person to compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. If you are improving, even slightly, you are on the right path. The compounding effect of action also applies to confidence. The more you take action, the more confident you become. A person who speaks in public once may feel nervous. If they do it repeatedly, they gain confidence. A person who starts a business may feel uncertain in the beginning, but with experience, they become more skilled. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is something that is built through repeated action. By understanding the power of compounding, you take control of progress. You stop looking for quick results and start focusing on what actually works. Improvement is not about making one massive change, but about making small changes consistently. If you commit to getting slightly better every day, success becomes inevitable. The difference between success and failure is persistence. Those who keep going, even when progress is slow, eventually succeed. Those who quit never reach their potential. The good news is that improvement is always possible. No matter where you are now, you can take small actions today that will lead to great results in the future. The key is to start and never stop. Small efforts today create big achievements tomorrow. Part 4, Mastering Resilience. There will be days when everything feels impossible, days when progress seems invisible, when you question whether your efforts even matter. You will feel exhausted, frustrated, and tempted to give up. You will wonder why you started in the first place. This is the moment that separates those who succeed from those who quit. Everyone struggles, everyone faces obstacles. The difference is that some people keep going despite it all. They understand that setbacks are not failures, they are part of the process. No one is immune to difficulty. Even the most successful people have faced moments of doubt. The truth is that success is not about avoiding hardship. It is about pushing through it. If you only take action when things are easy, you will never achieve anything meaningful. Growth happens when you keep going despite the difficulties. Every challenge you overcome makes you stronger. Every failure teaches a lesson. Every struggle builds resilience. The biggest mistake people make is expecting the journey to be smooth. They assume that if they work hard, success will come easily. When it doesn't, they feel like something is wrong. But struggle is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of progress. If you feel uncomfortable, if you are facing difficulties, it means you are growing. The people who improve the most are not the ones who never struggle. They are the ones who refuse to quit when things get hard. Failure is painful, but it is not permanent. The only true failure is giving up. Everything else is a lesson. Every time you fall, you have a choice: stay down or get back up. The people who succeed are not the ones who never fall. They are the ones who rise again and again. They understand that failure is temporary. They use it as fuel instead of letting it stop them. If you reframe failure as a learning experience, it loses its power over you. Resilience is not about being strong all the time. It is about continuing even when you feel weak. It is about taking another step forward even when you don't feel like it. No one feels motivated every day. No one feels confident all the time. The key is to keep going despite those feelings. If you rely on motivation, you will be inconsistent. If you build resilience, you will keep moving no matter what. Pain is unavoidable. At some point, you will experience failure, rejection, or disappointment. You will face criticism. You will have moments of self doubt. But pain is also the greatest teacher. It shows you what needs to change. It reveals weaknesses that need to be strengthened. It forces you to adapt and improve. Instead of fearing pain, use it. Let it sharpen you. Let it push you forward instead of holding you back. People who give up often think that struggles mean they are not meant to succeed. They assume that if something is hard, it is not for them. But nothing great comes without effort. The difference between success and failure is not talent, it is persistence. The people who reach their goals are the ones who push through the hard times. They keep moving forward even when everything feels like it is against them. Resilience is built through action. The more you push through challenges, the stronger you become. The first time you fail, it feels devastating. The second time, it hurts less. The third time, you recover faster. Over time, failure no longer feels like an ending. It becomes just another step in the journey. You learn to face it without fear. You realize that no failure is final unless you decide to stop. The world is full of stories of people who failed before they succeeded, writers who were rejected dozens of times before publishing a bestseller, athletes who lost over and over before becoming champions, entrepreneurs who went bankrupt before building successful businesses. The difference between them and those who never make it is simple. They refused to give up. They used failure as motivation instead of an excuse to quit. One of the best ways to build resilience is to expect setbacks. If you assume that everything will go perfectly, you will be disappointed. But if you understand that challenges are part of the process, you will be prepared. When something goes wrong, you won't be surprised. You will adjust, learn, and keep going. This mindset prevents frustration from turning into failure. Another way to build resilience is to focus on what you can control. Many people waste energy worrying about things outside their control. They get discouraged by circumstances, by other people's opinions, by things that may never even happen. But the truth is that most of life is unpredictable. The only thing you can control is your response. Instead of focusing on the problem, focus on what you can do about it. Taking action, even in a small way, builds strength. Surrounding yourself with the right people also makes a difference. Negative people will drain your energy and make you doubt yourself. But being around those who support you will help you stay strong. Everyone needs encouragement. No one succeeds alone. Find people who push you forward, who remind you why you started, who lift you up when you feel like quitting. Resilience is also about self-talk. The way you speak to yourself shapes your mindset. If you constantly tell yourself that you are not good enough, that you will never succeed, that you are a failure, those thoughts become reality. But if you remind yourself that struggle is part of growth, that you are capable of handling challenges, that failure is not the end, you develop inner strength. Your mind believes what you tell it. Speak to yourself the way you would encourage a friend. Sometimes taking a break is part of resilience. Pushing forward does not mean ignoring exhaustion. It does not mean pretending everything is fine when it is not. True resilience includes knowing when to rest. It includes stepping back when needed, regaining energy, and then continuing with more strength. Burnout is not a sign of weakness, but ignoring it is a mistake. The goal is to sustain progress, not destroy yourself in the process. One of the most powerful things you can do is remind yourself why you started. When progress feels slow, when challenges feel overwhelming, go back to the reason you began. There was something that made you take the first step, something that mattered enough to make you want to improve. Hold on to that reason. Let it keep you moving forward. Resilience is built one challenge at a time. Every time you face difficulty and keep going, you strengthen the ability to handle even bigger obstacles. Each challenge prepares you for the next. Over time, what once seemed impossible becomes manageable. The more you push through, the stronger you become. Growth is never easy, but it is always worth it. The struggles you face now will make you stronger in the future. The setbacks you experience will teach you lessons that success never could. The moments that feel the hardest are the ones that shape you the most. If you keep going, you will look back and realize that every difficulty was part of the journey to becoming the best version of yourself. The difference between those who succeed and those who do not is not intelligence, talent, or luck. It is the ability to keep going when things get tough. Resilience is not something you are born with. It is something you build, one challenge at a time. No matter how difficult things feel right now, you are capable of pushing through. You are stronger than you think. Keep moving forward, and success will follow. Part 5. Sustainable Growth for Life. If success is only temporary, is it really success? Many people work hard, improve themselves, reach their goals, and then stop. They assume once they have achieved something, the work is over. But without continuous improvement, progress fades. Fitness declines if exercise stops. Skills weaken if they are not practiced. Relationships suffer if they are not maintained. The truth is, self-improvement is not a destination. It is a lifelong process. The biggest mistake people make is believing that success is an event. They think once they reach a goal, they can relax. But real growth is not about one achievement. It is about sustaining progress over time. Those who continue improving after reaching a goal stay ahead. Those who stop eventually fall back to where they started. This is why the focus should not be on reaching a single milestone, but on building a system that makes continuous growth a way of life. Sustainable growth happens when self-improvement becomes a habit rather than a temporary effort. Many people make progress when they feel motivated, but lose it when motivation fades. The key is to create a lifestyle where getting better is part of everyday life, not something you do only when it is convenient. This approach removes the pressure of achieving everything at once. Instead of pushing for quick results, you focus on steady, consistent improvement. Growth is not about intensity, it is about consistency. A person who exercises moderately every day will be healthier than someone who trains intensely for a few weeks and then quits. A person who reads a little every day will know more than someone who crams information for a short period and then stops learning. Small, consistent actions are always more effective than extreme efforts that are not sustainable. One of the biggest challenges in long-term growth is avoiding burnout. Many people push themselves too hard at the beginning, trying to change everything at once. They demand too much of themselves, and when they cannot maintain that level of effort, they quit. The key to sustainability is balance. Pushing too hard too fast leads to exhaustion, but small, consistent effort leads to lasting results. Another challenge is dealing with setbacks. Many people believe that once they reach a certain level of success, problems will disappear. But obstacles never go away. The only difference is that as you grow, you become better at handling them. The most successful people are not those who never fail, but those who keep moving forward even when things go wrong. Sustainable growth requires adaptability. Life is unpredictable. Priorities change. Circumstances shift. The ability to adjust without losing progress is crucial. If your schedule becomes busier, instead of stopping your routine entirely, adjust it to fit your new situation. If an injury prevents exercise, focus on a different form of movement. The goal is to keep improving, even if the approach changes. A long-term approach to growth also requires patience. Many people expect rapid results, and when they do not see immediate progress, they get discouraged. But anything meaningful takes time. A tree does not grow overnight. A career is not built in a few weeks. A skill is not mastered instantly. The key is to trust the process. As long as you are moving forward, even slowly, you are making progress. Success is not about avoiding discomfort. It is about learning to be comfortable with it. Growth requires stepping outside of what feels easy. If you only do what is comfortable, you will never improve. Those who consistently challenge themselves become stronger. Those who avoid difficulty stay the same. The ability to embrace discomfort is what separates those who continue growing from those who stop. Sustainable growth also depends on surrounding yourself with the right influences. People who stay in environments that do not support their progress eventually fall back into old habits. If you are surrounded by negativity, it is harder to stay motivated. If you are around people who push you to improve, progress becomes easier. The people you spend time with shape your mindset, and your mindset shapes your actions. A key part of long term growth is reflection. Many people focus only on moving forward and never take the time to assess their progress. But without reflection, it is easy to repeat mistakes or lose track of what works. Taking time to evaluate what is working and what is not helps maintain momentum. Reflection provides clarity, helping you adjust and refine your approach. Another important aspect is maintaining curiosity. Many people stop learning once they reach a certain level of knowledge or skill. But growth requires continuous learning. The world is constantly changing, and those who stop adapting get left behind. Curiosity keeps you engaged. It keeps you searching for new ways to improve. It prevents stagnation. Many people believe that once they reach a certain level of success, they will finally be happy. But happiness does not come from achieving a single goal. It comes from progress itself. People who focus only on results often feel empty after reaching them. But those who focus on continuous improvement find fulfillment in the process. They do not wait for happiness to come later. They find it in daily progress. A mistake people make is assuming that small actions no longer matter once they have achieved success. But the habits that build success are the same habits that maintain it. A person who stops exercising after reaching their fitness goal will eventually lose their progress. A business that stops innovating will fall behind. The best way to maintain success is to continue doing the things that created it. Sustainable growth is not about perfection, it is about persistence. Many people quit because they make a mistake and assume they have failed. But failure is not missing one day of progress, it is quitting entirely. The key is to get back on track as soon as possible. One mistake does not erase all progress. What matters is what you do next. Another challenge is staying engaged when progress slows. In the beginning, improvement is exciting because results come quickly. But over time, growth becomes more gradual. This is when many people lose motivation. But just because progress is slow does not mean it has stopped. Small improvements, even if they are barely noticeable, still add up. Sustainable growth also requires knowing your values. Many people chase goals without understanding why they matter to them. They achieve something, only to realize it does not bring the satisfaction they expected. Growth should be aligned with what is truly important to you. If you are improving in ways that do not match your values, progress will feel empty. The key is to focus on the areas that bring genuine fulfillment. The final key to lasting growth is commitment. It is easy to improve when things are going well, but true commitment is continuing even when progress feels slow, when motivation fades, when obstacles appear. The people who achieve the most are not necessarily the most talented. They are the ones who stay committed no matter what. The best part about continuous growth is that it creates freedom. When improvement becomes part of daily life, you no longer feel trapped by past limitations. You no longer feel stuck in old habits. You gain the ability to shape your future. Every small action today makes tomorrow better. Growth is not about waiting for the perfect moment. It is about taking action now and continuing every day. If you commit to getting just 1% better every day, the results will be greater than you can imagine. Improvement compounds. Progress builds on itself. The person you become in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years will be the result of the small choices you make every day. The key is to start, to keep going, and to never stop improving. Sustainable growth is not a short-term effort. It is a lifelong commitment to becoming better, one step at a time. Thank you for listening. Our book has come to an end. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below, and I will reply to you as soon as possible.